guys, so today I'm going to be reading the first, maybe a few chapters of one or more chapters of the Melody Ellison's book. And if you haven't seen my last video, I made a video of me unboxing Melody, and I'm gonna try and not I'm trying to get her with that tipping thing. So this is Melody, and she's gonna be sitting up against the wall. And I'm gonna try and see, that's what I was talking about. Trying to not fall. Okay. So if you can barely see me, I'm not sure if you can see me good or not. And I'm sitting on some pillows because in my last video I was just like sitting plainly on my knees and you couldn't see me. But we're gonna ow. If I keep like moving around, it's because I'm trying to get comfortable. Alright. We're gonna start on the first chapter. Okay. The first chapter is called Meet the Ellisons, Chapter 1. It was a perfect day in May, and Melody Ellison could hardly wait for her father to pull the car to a stop in front of her grandparents' house. Every Sunday, Melody and her family had dinner here after church. But today was different. Melody was almost bursting with news. She hopped out of the station wagon so quickly that she forgot to hold the door for her sister Lila, who was coming out behind her. "Hey!" Lila shouted, but 9-year-old Melody was already halfway up the front walk. She only slowed to look at the purple petunias clustered near the steps. Then she skipped up to the front porch and peered into the big front windows. She could hear music coming from inside and couldn't help tapping her shiny shoes. Music also. I'm pretty sure that her tapping her shiny shoes are the shoes that she comes in. These blue shoes, because they kind of have like a little bit of heel to them, and you can like tap them, but you're probably gonna need like a hard floor. But I'm on my little thing. I don't know what it's called. So I'm gonna set her. Oops, I did not mean to bang her. Okay. I'm sorry if you hear a lot of interruptions. I'm not sure if you're gonna hear a lot yet, but I haven't heard this yet. No. Music always made her want to move. What are you so hot after? Huh? What are you so hot after? Asked Dwayne, Melody's older brother. His long legs had brought him around the car and up behind her in only a few steps. I'm not hot, Melody answered before she realized that Dwayne was joking. He only meant that she was excited, and she was. She couldn't hold her surprise in any longer. Miss Dorothy asked me to sing a solo for Youth Day. She said proudly. Let me start that part over. Miss Dorothy asked me to sing a solo for Youth Day. She said proudly. Youth Day was far away in October, but it was the biggest children's program at their church. Kids from all over the city came to sing, play music, recite poetry, and perform in skits. Only a few kids got the chance to stand in front to sing solo parts, and they had to be very, very good. Dwayne raised his eyebrows and Melody watched his face nervously. It wasn't easy to impress him. Dwayne was 18, and he'd done his first solo when he was 8. Wow, congratulations, he said. You've got it right. I'm not sure how to say that word. Yvonne, I'm pretty sure. Or I'm not sure. Yvonne, and tell her. You've got it right, Yvonne, and tell her. Melody grinned. Yvonne was their older sister who was away at college. She was a good singer, too. In fact, all the members of Melody's family were musical. I will, she promised. As soon as we get home. Tell Yvonne what? Lila joined them, trying to balance a plate with their mother's foil wrapped triple chocolate cake, and pushed her eyeglasses up on her nose at the same time. Melody is going to be the star of the New Hope Baptist Church Youth Day, he said, grabbing the plate as it wobbled. Just like I'm going to be the biggest Motown star since Smokey Robinson. I don't know. Lila sniffed a matter of factly and nodded toward Melody. Dee Dee might beat you to it. Lila was 13 and sometimes acted like she knew everything in the whole world. Not me, Melody shook her head. She liked to pretend she was a singing star at home, using her hairbrush as a microphone. But she didn't like to be in the spotlight. She felt safe from her spot in the children's choir or something core, I don't know. Pause. So some of these words I don't know how to pronounce. So if I say them wrong, it's because I don't know how to pronounce them. Where was I at? When the congregation was full of the church family she'd known all her life, but she was nervous about standing alone on Youth Day in front of a big crowd full of faces she didn't know. Melody's parents crowded onto the porch. The delicious aroma of Big Mama's pot roasting gravy wafted, I don't know, outside. Boy, that sure smells good, doesn't it? Melody's father whispered. Wait, was I supposed to whisper that? I don't know. Melody's tummy answered with a gurgle, and she nodded. Melody's mother laughed. Will you always did think my mother was the best cook in the world. Well, she is, Francis, Mr. Ellison said, loosening his tie. Did anybody ring the doorbell? Lila asked. Melody shook her head and reached out to push the bell. Just then, Big Mama swung open the door. Melody had always thought it was funny that they called her grandmother Big Mama, since she wasn't much taller than Melody, but the name was a sign of respect. Besides, when her grandmother sang, her voice was very big. Hello, my chicks, Big Mama said. She greeted each of her grandchildren with a rose-scented squeeze. Big Mama, this is Detroit, Michigan. You left all your chickens back in Alabama. Remember? Dwayne said, ducking out of her arms. Melody lingered a little longer. until Lila nudged her to get a turn. When Lila strolled over to check out the latest magazines on the coffee table, Big Mama folded her arms and gave Melody a stern look. "I believe you got something to tell me," she said. "Yes," Melody exclaimed. "Miss Dorothy asked me to learn her solo over the summer for Youth Day Pro." She stopped. Big Mama was smiling and nodding. Melody stared at her grandmother in wonder. "You already knew?" Melody said. "How? Are you kidding?" Lila said from the sofa. "Big Mama and Miss Dorothy are best friends. They tell each other everything. They were in a gospel singing group together before we were born." Big Mama laughed. "Yes, Dorothy and I are trying to be music teachers together back in Alabama. And we traveled around singing in churches. She says you're ready to carry a song on your own." "Who's ready for that?" Melody's mother asked from the dining room. "Melody's doing a Youth Day solo," Lila told her. "Oh, that's wonderful, honey." Miss Ellison clapped her hands and rushed to give Melody a hug. "Thanks, Mommy," Melody said, suddenly feeling shy at all the attention. "I believe our Melody is ready to sing out," Mr. Ellison said, as he placed extra chairs at the dining table. Melody heard the pride in his voice and wished she felt as confident as he did. She tugged at the end of her braid. Big Mama put her arm around Melody's shoulders. "It's okay to be nervous, baby chick," she said, reading Melody's mind. "You have all summer to practice. I'll help." "But what about your students?" Melody asked. Big Mama taught piano and voice lessons to kids and grown-ups right in her living room. "Don't worry. I'll find the time." "Thanks, Big Mama." Melody felt her nerves flutter again, but she felt good knowing that her family believed so much in her. She skipped into the dining room where Lila was setting the blue plates onto the yellow checked tablecloth. "Remember," Melody's mother said, handing Melody a stack of paper napkins, "we've been a musical family for generations." "See, I knew I was born to be a big name in the music business," Dwayne said. He did a quick spinning dance move before he set a basket of rolls on the table. Melody laughed as she carefully folded the napkin into a triangle and tucked one side beside every plate. "You're so silly," Lila told him, shaking her head. "The thing about Youth Day is that I get to pick my own song," Melody told her brother, "but I don't know which one to sing." "We could try some songs after dinner," Dwayne winked at Melody. She knew he took every chance he could to play Big Mama's beloved piano. "After dinner means we need to eat dinner first, doesn't it?" Melody's father said. "But we can't start without Papa," Dwayne said. Melody looked up from the napkins. Where was her grandfather? Anyway, she wondered, turning to Big Mama. Big Mama shrugged, but Melody saw a twinkle in her eyes before Melody could ask anything. She heard the back door of the house open and shut. Papa's heavy footsteps crossed the floor. "Hello," his voice boomed. Papa always talked loud. Melody's mother said it was because of his work all around loud machines years ago at the auto factory. Melody liked the sound. It reminded her of drum beats. "Guess who I brought for dinner?" Papa called from the kitchen. Everyone turned in his direction. He opened the door wider, and there stood Yvonne with a huge smile on her face. "Surprise!" she sang. "Vonnie!" Melody ran around the table to give her big sister a hug. "We didn't expect you till next week," Miss Ellison said. Melody could tell that her mother was very happy. Yvonne had been gone since January. "I took all my exams and finished my last paper early, so I caught the bus," Yvonne explained. "Papa picked me up at the Detroit terminal. Boy, that ride from Alabama takes forever." She barely took a breath before dropping her bag and greeting everyone. "Wow, Dee Dee, did you get taller?" "Got any new sounds, Dwayne?" "Lila, are those new glasses?" "Dad, you're wearing the birthday shirt we gave you." "Big Mama, that rose smells really good." "And Mommy, I know you made your triple chocolate cake. Can we eat?" Melody laughed. College hasn't changed since Yvonne's habit of talking a mile a minute. Big Mama brought the roast in, and everyone took their places around the table, with Papa at one end and Daddy at the other. And now the family was truly all together, the way their Sundays used to be. "Dee Dee, why don't you sing Grace for us?" her father said. "Yes, Daddy," Melody said. She felt comfortable singing in front of this crowd. She bowed her head and sang in a strong, clear voice. Okay, this part she sings, so I'm just going to say it my regular voice because I don't know what to sing. "By thy hands we must be fed. Give us, Lord, our daily bread." Alright, guys. So if you guys come back tomorrow, you guys, or whenever I post my next video, you guys can hear hold on, let me just make sure, see how many pages it has, and if it doesn't have that much, then I can read it. So, let's see. Yeah, it doesn't have that much. I'll read this last chapter, and then I'll go if the next chapter doesn't have one. Table Talk, Chapter 2. "So," Yvonne said, "what's the news? What have I been missing?" She glanced around the table. "I'm doing double shifts at the factory again this week," Daddy told her. Melody opened her mouth to speak, but Mommy beat her to it. "There's a lot of talk about some of the city schools having half days next year," she said. Everyone looked up at that. "Really?" Yvonne asked. Mommy nodded. "Can you believe that? School 3 or 4 hours a day. Children need as much time as they can get to learn. We teachers are against it, but the district says that there may not be enough money for full days. Wish they'd shorten the days when I was in school," Dwayne grunted. "I have news," Melody started to say, but Yvonne nodded in Dwayne's direction. "What's up with you?" she asked him. "Not much," Dwayne said, leaning over his almost empty plate. Melody looked at him curiously. When he wasn't working at the factory, Dwayne was always busy singing with his friends, writing new music, and playing Big Mama's piano every chance he could get. Why would he tell Yvonne? Not much. She wanted to ask him, but she also wanted her turn. Melody waved her fork in the air at her sister, trying not to see Mommy frowning at her poor table manners. "Funny, I was going to write you. Now I can tell you in person." "Spill it, Dee Dee," Yvonne laughed. "I'm going to sing my first solo." "In the Mother's Day program next week?" Yvonne asked. "No, Miss Dorothy picked me for the Youth Day program. I have the whole summer to learn a song." "That's great," Yvonne said. "Now you can show that girl, what's her name?" "That girl? What's her name?" "The one who always tries to boss the other singers around." "You mean Diane Harris?" Melody made a face. Diana was in the same 4th grade class as Melody and took piano lessons from Big Mama. She had a nice voice, but she wasn't at all nice about that. I hear she's a solo hog. Dwayne mumbled with his mouth full. We can't be jealous of other people's gifts, Mommy said to Dwayne sternly. She turned to Melody. Besides, didn't you just say that Miss Dorothy asked you to sing a solo? Yes, Melody looked down, twiddling her fingers in her lap. But I'm not as good as Diane. Who says that? Daddy asked. Melody said out loud what she'd been thinking since Miss Dorothy's request. Well, Diane has a big grown-up voice and only have a girl voice. She looked at Dwayne, expecting him to remind her that she was only a girl. He didn't say anything. Everybody's got a right to shine, baby chick, Big Mama said. Diane does, and you do too. You've got a beautiful voice, and plenty of other gifts. What about that green thumb of yours, Papa reminded her. Lila said, I bet Diane can't name every car off the Ford line the way you can. Melody smiled. It was true that she was good at all those things, and she liked being good at them too. But Diane was so sure of herself when she sang. She could hear a song once and sing it without one mistake. Melody remembered music easily, but she had to practice and practice to get the words right. You're a hard worker, Melody. That's a gift too, Mommy said. And then she turned to Yvonne. Hold on. Speaking of hard work, how was your second year at Tuskegee? Tuskegee or something. Tuskegee? Yes, Bonnie. Did you study all the time? Melody asked. Mommy has gone to Tuskegee. And this year. Dwayne had applied and been accepted. Melody knew that her parents hoped all the children would graduate from Tuskegee one day too. Yvonne shook her head so that her small earrings sparkled. There's so much more to do at school besides studying, she said, reaching for more gravy. Like what? Papa asked, propping his elbows on the table. Alright guys, so I am gonna go. I have to find something to mark this with, and yeah, I didn't finish this chapter because I don't really know, but yeah guys, if you come back whenever I post the next video, you guys will hear my next chapter, well, the next chapter of this book. Bye!